Hello, I'm Ronnie Gordon, County Judge of Hartley County, and you are listening to Texas County's Voice, a podcast for all 254 counties. Thank you for listening.
Well, hello, and welcome to Texas County Voice. I'm Jody Sebring with the Texas Association of Counties, and joining me today is McLennan County Tax Assessor-Collector Randy Riggs. He also serves as Vice President of the Texas Association of Counties and is a former president of the Tax Assessor-Collectors Association of Texas. Welcome to the podcast.
Jody, thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Well, listeners might be able to tell we're sitting outside here in Georgetown on a May afternoon because you are attending the County Technology Conference, one of our many workshops and educational events that we offer. What brought you to this conference?
Well, the thing about the technology conference is that their technology touches everybody's offices, and it was something that I felt like I needed to come and just be exposed to. One of the things that it's not my strength, and people that know me understand that I probably need to get a little bit more versed in technological applications. So I'm here trying to soak it up.
How long have you been tax assessor collector, and what did you do before becoming the tax assessor collector?
I was elected in 2012.
Okay.
So I feel like I've been doing it for a few days now. I should know what I'm doing, but sometimes, some days I wonder.
So you would have been inaugurated January 1 of 2013?
I would have been, but my predecessor pled guilty to a crime, and the county judge called me up and said, "Get yourself down here today. We're swearing you in." This is after I had already won the nomination for the Republican Party, and went through the one of the longest primaries in history. It was supposed to be in March, then it ended up in April. Finally, it was in May, and then the runoff was in July. But I didn't have a general opponent. Before that, I had been on our city council for about 12 years, and I got the telephone call that said, "We'd like for you to consider being the tax assessor." And my answer was, "Lord, no. Nobody wants to be the tax assessor." And the more I thought about it, and the more I looked into it, and my exposure, my day job at the time was a certified public accountant in public practice, having done a lot of work with counties and cities and in governments and nonprofits. Had an interest in getting involved and felt like it was the time to do it. You know, you look at situations like that, and it may sound trite, but from a spiritual perspective, you prayed about it and felt led to become a friendly tax collector.
Well, the office title, I think, offers us a big hint of what it's about, but give us a brief job description. What are the duties and responsibilities of a tax assessor?
Well, there are primarily four jobs of a tax assessor collector. One is obviously to collect property taxes, also to register titles, transfer titles for register vehicles and transfer titles for motor vehicles, as well as be the voter registrar. And the fourth thing is to serve on the board of the appraisal district. Now, each one of those is different. Some people may say, you know, my tax assessor doesn't collect property taxes. Well, they're still responsible for the property taxes that are collected within that county. They just have the court has the ability to contract with somebody else to collect those, but the tax assessor collector is still responsible for that. The thing about motor vehicles, all 254 tax assessor collectors do the motor vehicle registrations and transfer of the title. The interesting thing is, you know, I said 254 because there are 254 tax assessor collectors. In counties smaller than 10,000, they don't have a tax assessor collector specifically unless the community voted for that. In absence of that, the person that serves as the tax assessor collector is actually the sheriff. And then the voter registrar. Not all tax assessor collectors actually do that job because some counties have elected to have a elections administrator, which does the voter registration as well as run the elections for the county. So those are the three of the primary. The other one is serving on the appraisal district board. Now that's under just recent legislation. That's something that's going to be new. The tax assessor collector has always been a non-voting member. But as of July 1, they will be a voting member with 3 other additional members to that board that are elected by the public for counties over 75,000 population. So that's a kind of a big change if you live in one of those larger counties, to be able to have this 9-member appraisal district board.
Yeah, and residents in those larger counties voted for those appraisal board members on May 4th.
Exactly. And I guess I'm somewhat fortunate. Some counties didn't have to have an election because they didn't have that much interest in those positions. In our little county, in McLennan County, we had 3 positions. The position 1 was unopposed, position 2 had 2 people, and position 3 had 3 people. The challenge with all this is we kind of viewed it as an unfunded mandate, because now we have to hold this election as an appraisal district and pay for it. And the concern we had with having 3 people for one position is, what if they don't get 50% of the vote? Well, then we find ourselves in a runoff. There are some counties that have had to have that runoff election, which just means more money. And I hate to view it as a dollar situation, but really it has cost the entities more money to be able to fund these elections.
How did you become interested in running for office? Well, you said you had been a member of the city council and
Yeah, I was in a CPA firm, and it was a family firm, and the way we did our advertising was to be involved civically. So I was involved civically in a number of different organizations, locally and nationally, and realized that I needed to do more work in my local community, and focused on that. Got on our plan commission, and then got talked into running for the city council, which I did, and thoroughly enjoyed that. You know, the difference between the city work and the county work is the city can do whatever they want to unless the legislature tells them they can't, where county government can only do what the legislature allows them to do. So it was kind of different. As on the city council, I was a policymaker. I had the opportunity to actually bring things forward and change things. I was on the board of the Texas Municipal League, had served on the our regional council of government, served as on the board of the Texas Association of Regional Councils, and was actually president of that state organization. So I was very involved in a lot of different issues. Our appraisal district board, I got elected to that in 1999. So I've been on that board for a few days now. And several people would come to me and say, you know, we'd like for you to consider doing this. And I really wasn't excited in doing it until I finally talked to several people and thought, you know, this is going to be interesting, because the code book that I have to work under now is smaller than the Internal Revenue Code. So I felt like this is something I can do, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't know if I would or not, because, you know, who wants to be the tax collector? You know, it's a job that people look at. Of course, my preacher says, yeah, it's got a special place in the Bible. But I got involved with it. I enjoy doing things the right way. I'm a rule follower, and there are several issues that come across my desk. What do we do about this? And I always challenge my staff to investigate it and look at it, research it in what the code says. And then once we understand what the code says, then we can better make a decision for that situation. We have interesting things that happen every day. The legislature changes things, which makes it fun. And so I'm thankful for that. I have a great team of people that work with me, and that's what makes the job enjoyable as well.
speaking of the legislature, a couple of new laws that take effect next year, I think have some bearing on tax assessor collectors. And one is House Bill 3297, which eliminates annual vehicle safety inspections. And that one takes effect January 1st, though for like 17 counties, emissions requirements remain in effect. So you're
That's right.
still going to have to get emissions tested.
Exactly. I have a daughter who is a reporter, and she came to me as soon as she heard about that and said, I don't need to get my vehicle inspected anymore. She's like, well, yes, you do. She said, no, the law says this. It's like, well, look at the effective date. And the effective date is January 1. We deal with that daily in our office. People come in and say, well, the law has changed. I don't have to do this anymore. Yes, but the effective date is January 1 of 25. So you have to do it one last time. Now, if you've already done it and your sticker says 25 on there, you're going to never have to do an inspection again unless you live in one of those emissions counties.
Right.
So that's that bill, and it's really exciting. There are some people that think that it's going to allow deferred maintenance vehicles on the road, that it's going to be a safety hazard. And to a certain extent, it may be, but there is very few counties that still do inspections. And why would Texas subject its citizens to that requirement when the majority of the country doesn't? And I think that was probably what tipped the tables there.
Yeah, most states no longer require those.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
inspections. Well, the other bill from this 2023 session was House Bill 718, which eliminates temporary paper license plates. This one takes effect July 1st, 2025. What are the potential effects of this bill for counties?
Well, we work closely as an association with the Department of Motor Vehicles, and they have yet to define exactly how that's going to affect the counties. The reason that we went to metal plates was to eliminate fraud. Well, as you can appreciate, anything that we deal with, any rules, there's always somebody out there that's going to try to break those rules. So even with the metal plates, there's going to be an element of fraud that's going to have to be managed. That's one of the issues that we look at, is how is that going to affect our offices? Is there going to be more of an unfunded mandate? And then how do we regulate that to make sure that we reduce or eliminate any types of fraud in regard to that? The interesting thing about this, timing wise, is like you said, July 1 of 25. Well, we're going to have another legislative session. I'm going to hope that, well, you never want the legislature to look at something because you don't know what exactly they're going to see and what they're going to change, because they may not change what you would like for them to change. But we appreciate the work that they do. But look at it that they may change something else. So right now, we as tax assessor collectors are submitting information for our budgets to the Commissioners Court. And in my county, we're asking them for some additional resources just in case it ends up happening the way I think it's going to happen, which is the county offices will be more involved with delivering those plates. What I've heard from DMV is that they are toying with delivering the plates to the dealers themselves. Well, in my little county, we have 300 dealers. And in the county south of me, they have roughly 300 dealers as well. Well, that's 600 just right there in 2 counties. I don't see a state department wanting to ship out that many plates and be responsible for that. I think it's easier to say that you have the vehicle at the county. Let's just let them do that. If that happens, well, then that comes as an additional responsibility for us that is going to command resources. And those resources affect our budget, affect the tax rate, affect the citizens of the community.
When I described this particular bill, I said it eliminates temporary paper license plates, but I should have added that it replaces them with metal plates. So when you buy a car, you'll no longer get that paper plate.
So think about that for a while. So we have to have each dealership have about 3 weeks worth of plates. Having 300 dealers, that's having 100 dealers come into my office, every week.
And you will be distributing the metal plates to the.
That is yet to be determined. So we're looking at that. Also, you get the plate from the dealer when you buy the car. You don't get the sticker. Okay, so that's a different situation now that they're going to have to work with us electronically, and then we generate the sticker that you actually put on your windshield. Well, are we mailing that, or do we mail them or give them all to the dealership to then distribute to the people that they sold cars to? Now, when you say dealership, some people may think of a franchise dealership, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, those companies. But what we have the most of is the independent dealers. And some of them are a challenge to work with. Some of them want to be a challenge, and some of them just don't know any better. And we work with them the best we can, but like I said, others are better than some.
As you've mentioned, you're deeply engaged in your community and professionally in your associations. You have served on many boards and commissions and have led many of them. So based on that deep experience, what advice do you have for other county officials that you have learned on the job, or what philosophy would you share that you have developed over your years of service?
Don't listen to your friendly tax collector here. You know, I don't know if I really have any advice except for do it the right way. Integrity goes a long ways. And if one of us does something without scruples, it affects all of us. And so it's best to be able to look at a decision and do it with the utmost integrity. I guess I come back to that word. It's as long as you're able to look yourself in the mirror and say, I made the right decision for all concerned, then you're going to be okay. Once had a city attorney who told me, he said, use the Sunday newspaper approach. Like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, he said, if you can open up the Sunday newspaper and read the headlines about you and feel good about it, then you're okay. But if it comes out that it's something that you wouldn't want everybody to read about, then all of a sudden you probably shouldn't be doing it. So a bit of advice. I'm not the one to be giving advice to county officials because there's 254 counties. There's 254 different ways of doing things for every office. But if you can look at things with integrity, then that will be the first step of succeeding.
I understand you're a trumpet player
I am. Yes, I am.
and that you formed the Waco Jazz Orchestra.
Well, actually, that would happen in 1985, and my dad's a player as well, and it was just a bunch of guys who enjoy getting together and playing. And if somebody wants to come listen to us, that's just the bonus. But yeah, we're a bunch of guys that just enjoy it. I play in that jazz band, then play some church gigs here or there. It's my outlet. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, I'm sure it is a useful creative outlet. Do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy?
Oh, well, there's a lot of people that like to, hunt and fish or play tennis or play golf and that stuff. And I really don't do that. My hobby growing up was always civic involvement. And how can I be involved with an organization that will benefit the community in different ways, whether it be, Race for the Cure or different issues dealing with kids. How can you help the homeless? Those kind of things excite me, and I enjoy being involved. My dad was involved. He was kind of a mentor to me. And now my kids are starting to get involved. And the service to humanity is one of the best works of life. And that I'm able to be involved with that and I get paid to do it is just a gift that I'm extraordinarily thankful for.
Did you grow up in McLennan County?
Well, actually, I was born in Austin. My dad worked in the Johnson administration and was the first executive director of the Veterans Administration Data Processing Center there in South Austin. And moved to Waco once he got transferred to DC. And then we came to Waco because my mother really didn't care for DC too much. And that's how my parents were originally from Waco. So other than being in Austin, spending the first 10 years of my life there, then I've lived in Waco, went to high school in Waco, went out to other places to play my horn, toured the country, but went to college as well, went to Baylor University, and all four of my kids are born in Waco, and Waco is home. I cannot imagine living anywhere else. So,
What do you like most about McLennan County?
it's kind of comfortable like that old shoe. It's a great place to raise a family. That was a challenge that we had when I was on the city council, was that we were always trying to bring industry to town to keep the tax rate lower. And a lot of industry didn't want to come to Waco because we didn't really have the retail infrastructure to satisfy their employees. Well, now we do. Waco has changed the last 10, 20 years. And it's growing. It's a fun place to be. It's an exciting place to be. You have a little bit of everything. And if you don't, you got Dallas and Austin just 100 miles away either way, and you can usually find anything and everything there. But you look at Waco, and it's just home. A lot of that has to do with family. A lot of it has to do with friends. I feel very comfortable there.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for all you do for McLennan County and for the Texas Association of Counties.
Well, it is indeed my honor, and thank you for taking the time to visit with me, and look forward to the next time.
You've been listening to Texas County Voice, a podcast from the Texas Association of Counties about the people, issues, and all things important to Texans and Texas counties. To learn more about Texas counties and the Texas Association of Counties, visit county.org.